All right.
Believe it, right?
Believe it or not, we're approaching the end of the book of Daniel. Unless we want to take Daniel from the Septuagint. If we do that, there's 2 more chapters after this. But this is the last of it. And we're fast approaching it. Even though it's verse 4, we only got 13 verses. And when I get to the last part, we're going to just throw a bunch of verses out. Okay? But we're at the conclusion of the revelation that Daniel is getting from this angel. Yeah. I won't talk too much about that at this point, but let's looking at the scripture. Verse 4 says, "But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, knowledge shall be increased." First thing we address is the fact that the angel is telling him, stop writing and close the book. Roll up the scroll, put the seals on it. That's what he's instructing him to do. It's that this is not something, he's telling him that this is an end time message, and it's not really for you to understand. All the revelation has come to you, but it's not for you to understand. Now, my point is, when we know that the angel has said this is an end time message, it's for an audience that is end time. And when you think about it, here's my thought. I don't know how I could dismiss this in my mind as thinking that I think we're in the end time.
Sure.
Because if you remember back in chapter 9, verse 26 and 27, this angel told Daniel that this has to do with him and his people and the city of Jerusalem. In other words, the message that we've been looking at all of this time is not about New York or San Francisco or the United States. The angel clearly stated in verse 26 and 27 that the message had to do with Daniel's people and the city of Jerusalem. So what do we look at? I understand that officials of Israel is meeting with the president, and they're discussing maybe even the moving of our embassy to Jerusalem and other issues today. And this has really got the Palestinians upset. I mean, they're even threatening, that if we were to move the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, they're saying that, boy, it's going to really be a bad thing. What I'm trying to emphasize is that it seems like that the world is all in conflict over a little town on top of a hill over there. A little country that's no bigger than Maryland, and the world is just really upset. The UN has just resolution after resolution trying to be pushed through to condemn Israel, a little country like that, over human rights and everything else. And what it makes me believe is that, hey, we're closer to the end than, And he says in that verse we read, said, many shall run to and fro. Now, most people consider this as has to do with the way we get, we're just going and going and going. I was thinking 100 years ago, or that people never got no more than 25 miles from where they live, 25 or 50 miles. Go back a little further than that, they might not get that far from where they live. But now we can board a plane and be in Tel Aviv, in the matter of several hours. We got cars where we used to have horses. It seems like that in itself is a fulfillment that's over the last 100 years of end-time prophecy where he said, many shall run to and fro. That's what he's telling Daniel. Daniel, this message is not for you. It's for a time when men will run to and fro in the earth. And that seems to indicate it's just, look at the airport. Sometimes when they put the airports on the news, you just see people just going to and fro. And then he said, knowledge shall be increased. This is happening. There's a couple aspects to it, about this. We're learning, and new things are being developed all of the time. But Timothy said that there's going to be a time when you're ever learning but never coming to the knowledge of the truth. We have a couple aspects to this, the carnal and the biblical knowledge that you have to consider. And I think both of them are increasing. I think we're learning more about God's Word.
Yeah.
I think things in God's Word are coming to light, And I think worldly knowledge is also increasing. However, I kind of go along with what Reagan said. They put it on sometime on TV. He said, he talked about the Democrats, but it fits everybody. Democrats, Republicans, whatever, but he was talking about the Democrats. That the Democrats, not that the Democrats don't know anything, it's just what they know is not right. And I kind of think about that when I think about what we're learning in the world. Knowledge is increasing, but it's not knowledge that directs you to God. And I think that the biblical knowledge, I think we're beginning to understand what Daniel closed up in the book and sealed. I think the seals are being pulled off, and we're beginning to see some things take place. That word, I noted this. The word for knowledge is da'at, and it can mean cunning, or it can mean ignorant. And I just took note of that. That you can learn, but still it can be ignorant knowledge. And I guess anything that doesn't point you to God could be in that classification. But anyway, that's Strong's definition of it. Point being that I'm trying to make is that the knowledge that we see increase on the human side is not the knowledge that directs you toward God. Think about what's being taught in universities today. Where Harvard and some of the other schools was originally set up to teach biblical principles. And so they don't do that anymore. It's, that's the way knowledge is more. Okay, verse 5, 6, 7, and 8. We get some new information here. It says, then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, there stood other two. The one on this side of the bank of the river, and the other on that side of the bank of the river. And one said to the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, how long shall it be to the end of these wonders? And I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, and swear by him that liveth forever, that it shall be for a time, times and a half. And when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished. And I heard, but I understood not. Then said I, O my Lord, what shall be the end of these things? So, it's interesting. He said, then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, there stood other two. Now we're back to the scene that we saw in the beginning of chapter 10. Where were they? Remember back there, Daniel is standing by the Tigris River. It says Hiddekel back there, but that's an old name for the Tigris River. So that's where he's standing. But now he sees two additional angels that he never saw back there in the beginning of the chapter. And at this point, we either have 3 or 4 individuals that there with Daniel. I think there's 4. 4. I think there's 4. And I think it's not counting Daniel. There's the man in linen, the angel that bringing the revelation to Daniel, and the one that's going through that with him, and then these 2 that show up. I think there's 4 there. The one that was talking to Daniel and brought the revelation, he's the one that had to have help because of the prince of Persia trying to restrict him. Remember, Daniel had prayed and fasted for 21 days. And remember, the angel told him the day you started praying, I was dispatched to bring you the message, But there was, I was opposed by the prince of Persia, this angelic being that tried to keep him from. And the way I look at it is that this prince of Persia was trying to keep this message and revelation from getting to Daniel, and in turn getting out to the, get put in the book so that you and I can look at it today. But anyway, so that's the angel. Then they've got these 2 additional angels, and one's on one side of the river and one's on the other side of the river. Here's an interesting thing. These angels don't know what's going on. These angels are perplexed by the message too. And they don't understand what's happening. Daniel don't understand what it said. We just read where he didn't understand it either. And the angels didn't understand it. So consequently, that one of them said to the man clothed in linen. Now this man clothed in linen is interesting. I want you to look at something. There are 7 aspects to this man. There are 7 things that apply to this man clothed in linen. The first one being the fact that he's clothed in linen. 7 things. I think by the very virtue of the number 7 speaks of something very special in this man clothed in linen. Certain man clothed in linen. The second thing in the description of him back in chapter 10 was that his loins were girded with fine gold. His body was like the beryl. His face has the appearance of lightning. His eyes had the lamps of fire. And the thing is, if you go to Revelation chapter 1, you get a description of somebody there that is it just blows you out, And then number 6, his arms and his feet are like the color of polished brass. And then number 7, the voice of his words are like the voice of a multitude. 7 things that apply to him back. And his appearance, we're told in chapter 10, it causes Daniel to fall on his face and go into a deep sleep. Remember, the angel with the message had to wake him up, had to get him up back on his feet, had to pull him up. The Bible says he reached down, grabbed him, and put him up on his feet. This man clothed in linen is most likely an appearance of Christ, a Christophany or a theophany, appearance of Christ there, in my opinion. I mean, it doesn't say it is. I mean, there's not, but by the very fact that everybody's addressing him, then the angel is saying to the man dressed in linen, you know. So, how long? That's a big question. I think. Well, I don't know why I asked that question. How long, Lord, before you come and clean this mess up? I mean, it is in a mess. This world is in a royal mess. How long, Lord, before you come and straighten all of this out and show us what it really means for somebody for God to run a country? Okay. Then he says, okay, and the response is at times and a half, and half a time. Y'all remember the handwriting on the wall? Mina, Tickle, Tickle, Upharsin. You remember that writing on the wall?
Yep.
You know, from chapter 2 to chapter 7 is Aramaic. It's not Hebrew, it's Aramaic. Well, meaning is the Aramaic form of the Hebrew mina, which is a weight of currency, and it's equal to 50 talents. So you got mina. So that if you add those two together, as far as their representation of talents, you got 100 talents. A tinkle is a talent. So that's one more. So you got 101. Then, Upharsin means a half of a mina. So if it's half of a mina, that's 25. So you got 126. We're told, at least two places, in Ezekiel and I believe the others in Deuteronomy, we're told that a talent is equal to 20 gerars, which is another measure of time. If you take 126 times 20, you got 2,520. That is a constant that you find throughout the Bible. If you add the 1,260 days in Revelation, 1,260 days in the first half, with the 1,260 days in the second half, you've got 2,520. If you take when Joshua led the children of Israel against Jericho, and he marched around Jericho, completely around Jericho 7 times, making a 360-degree march around Jericho. And they did it 7 times. If you take 7 times 360, it's 2,520. Jesus, God created, set in motion the rotation of the earth in the beginning of creation, and he completed the job in 7 days. The rotation of the earth, a 360-degree rotation, times the 7 days again, is 2,520. I just throw that out there. Because the accident? No, I don't think so. Chance, by chance? I don't think so. I think there's design in all of this. Okay? But anyway, it gives a time here, times and a half of a time. Time being 1 year, times being 2 years, and a half of a time, and all this equals to 3.5 years. And you say, well, is there a way that we know that for a fact? Well, that's not the only measurement that God gives us concerning the same time. So we can say, you could say, what about a time? We don't know times, we don't know about that. Half of times, we don't know about that. Except that God gives us some other things to go by for that same period. We have, in Revelation, we have 42 months. 42 months, 3.5 years. You know. If you have got 1,260 days for half of that 7-year period on the lunar calendar for 30-day months, that's what it is, 1,260 days. 3.5 years. So I mean, you know, it's not that we're guessing about this period of time, and it's putting all of it together. We see what he's talking about, 3.5, and he's talking about the last part of this 7-year period. Because the last part is when everything really, really gets bad. Jesus said it's a time that like never has been before and never will be again. That's what he said. We've had some rough times in this old world, and we've seen some rough things in this old world, but we haven't seen anything like that 3.5 year period that's coming up. Then this statement is made in here. In that passage of Scripture, and when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people. What it's saying is that when he has weakened the Jewish people, the people of Israel, to such a point that they absolutely have no strength left, and they realize it. Now, right now, Israel is saying, we'll fight. I mean, we got one of the best military forces and everything. When this begins to materialize, it will bring the Jewish people down to the point where they will be weakened to the point they realize that they have no strength left. That's what I'm talking about. After their power is completely shattered. This is what Jesus said about it. When he was here, he said, the house is left unto you desolate. You shall not see me henceforth, till you shall say, blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord. What he's saying here is that when you're pressed to such a point, you know, that you see that you have no strength, and you cry out to me, then I will appear. Second thing said, and I heard, but I understood not. So this prophecy is going to be sealed up. It's not for his time. But a lot of things got to take place. At the time that Daniel's talking about it, I mean the second temple hadn't been built yet. They completely. I mean, there Zerubbabel and Joshua had been dispatched to let go to build the temple. But it hadn't been completed yet. And also, it was going to, in order for this prophecy, which putting together this prophecy, that temple was going to have to be built, and it was going to have to be destroyed. And then another one is going to have to be built. We're looking for that other one that is supposed to be. Or not everybody believes there's going to be another temple, but I believe there's going to be another temple. And we're waiting for that. The Temple Institute over in Jerusalem, they're preparing for it. In fact, I just read the other day.
Raymond, don't they already have it all together, to put together?
There's no telling what. They got the cornerstone, they got the menorah, they got they got all kinds of stuff prepared for all the vessels that's going to be needed, to carry on the sacrifice and all that stuff. And then I read the other day where a rabbi has discovered a perfect red heifer.
Really?
And you know where he found it? The Baja of Mexico. And he was so excited about it because he found it's not just any red heifer that's good enough for the cleansing of the priest and the temple once it's built. It's got to be one that is perfect. And And he claims that he's found it, you know. Well, we know we're living between the destruction of the second temple, and we're waiting for the third. That's why I say I think we're living in I think the clock is ticking down to the alarm's about to go off, you know. But anyway, we've seen this take place, the scattering of Israel, the regathering of Israel. People are coming into Israel on a daily basis from all over. I saw where there was 70 that come into Israel the other day. Young people come into Israel the other day, and many of them were ready to join the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, right as soon as they hit the ground. And they was from America. You know, people are flocking to that little country over there. Where are they going to put them all? Well, they're building 500 new dwellings in some of the occupied territory and stuff. They're just building up. I mean, you know, how's all this going to end? Well, it's going to end like God said it's going to end. Well, you see all kinds of things taking place. You see things that Daniel couldn't see. Verse 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. These are the last we're getting new information. For example, now the man in linen has told Daniel and the angels that asked the question that there's a time frame for this. Time, times, and half a time, or 3.5 years. It's new information that Daniel didn't know. Now, we're going to get some new information, other information. Verse 9 says, and he said, go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed till the time of the end. How many of you believe the seals are being broken as far as understanding some of the things that God's doing? I think it is. Anyway. Many shall be purified, made white, and tried. But the wicked shall do wickedly. And none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand. And from the time that the daily sacrifices, now here we have something being said. Another time. And from the time that the daily sacrifices shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate set up, there shall be 1,290 days. We got another time frame set up here. Now, I may not get into this today, but blessed is he that waiteth and cometh to the 1,300. Another time frame. Blessed is he that waiteth and cometh to the 1,330 days. We got another time. We got 1,290. And then we got 1,335 days. Said, but go thy way till the end be, for thou shalt rest and stand in thy lot at the end of the day. So we got, in our next lesson, I see my alarm's about to go off here. But anyway, we're going to deal with these last two times in the next lesson. And I think we'll be through with we quit. Stop. Okay. We'll deal with these last two times. Now remember, the 3.5 years is 1,260 days. Now we got 1,290 days and 1,335. You know, so what are they? Well, we're going to, I can't say we can definitely tell you, but we can give you our opinion, okay? God bless you. Thank you.